Hi, this is Christian. In this video, I want to help you get started with this assignment. This is the Node assignment. I have the PDF and the zip files for your sources are all here. So first thing is to download the zip file. Once you download, unzip it and drag the resources folder to your desktop somewhere. And I'm going to open this PDF for now so we can see the instructions. Okay, so I put a note in here saying you want to skip steps 6 and 7. I'll show you what that means in a minute. But down here, also please read this. If you have any questions, please let me know. But all I'm asking is that when you submit your assignment, do not include this node modules folder. Okay, so just don't include that in the zip file. But also don't forget to include this package.json file. This is really important. So for your Node applications, if you ever want to distribute or share your program with other people or even yourself, if you want to move from one machine to another machine, you don't need to really just include these modules because this folder can grow really large. As you add more and more packages to this project, then that module folder will grow really large, and you don't need that because you can get all of those back by using this package.json file. Okay, so that's important. Another part is that the Apollo site on our site is not configured to run any Node.js applications. Okay, we do have Node on it, but it's just not efficient at this point to run Node on the server. So anything that has to do with Node.js applications, you don't really need to upload that to the server, okay? Unless, of course, if you just want me to download your source code from there, or you can upload your source code to a cloud drive like Google Drive or Dropbox, and then you can include it in the link for your submission. That's fine. Or just zip your files and then upload that. Okay, so those are instructions for applies to all your future Node applications. Okay, not just this one. Right, so now in the instructions over here, you will start from page 382 here. And the first few steps, let me just maximize this. Oops. It asks you to install Node.js. If you haven't done that, please do so. And steps 2 to 3 here are really, actually 3 to 4 here, are really, you can do the way it does here, or you can just create this folder, using File Explorer and drag and drop into the folder first. However you do that, that's fine. And also the folder can be called whatever you want. It asks you to use Contoso Web. It's just a project folder, really. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to this first few steps here. So I'm going to go to my terminal. Let me close this. So on the desktop, I have the resources downloaded. As you can see, if you open that, you have the node sample and the calculator solution here. This is the one that we want to use. Okay, so first, to create your folder, it's quite simple. Let me just open this. I'm going to create a folder in my C drive. So I'm going to go to a C drive here. And the C drive, I'll create a folder. And I'll probably use this for like, let's just say Web2. Inside the Web2, I'll have another folder. And this is the one the instruction asks you to use something called Contoso Web. Okay, again, call whatever you want. And then open that web folder, and it just basically asks you to drag this folder and put it in here. Okay, you can move that in there, and you don't need this anymore. You can close that, you can trash it, and so you're good here. So remember where you store this location, all right? And then you can ready to go and open Visual Studio Code. Now, to get this to the Visual Studio Code, a couple of ways to do it. So I'm just going to go to the studio first. We do it that way. Open Visual Studio Code, and then you need to open a folder. Okay, we don't have a workspace, so open a folder. If you don't see this welcome screen, if you see just something like this, that's fine. Go to the tab, click the tab open on the left side, or File, and open the folder. It doesn't matter, lots of ways to do it. So open the folder and go find the folder. So as you can see, it's in my C drive, right? In my C drive, Web2 in the Contoso Web. This is the one that I want. So just select that folder, click select, and that should reload your application. If you don't want to see this screen ever again, I mean, every time, just uncheck this box down here. Okay, so here is our web solution folder here, and we are good. We have the things that we needed to get started all in here. All right, so then the next step is, let's go back to the instructions. So we pretty much completed steps 2 through 4 already. Okay, so step 5 is to initialize your environment with a npm init. So it's very simple. We do that, it's going to create these package.json files for us automatically. Okay, so let's go and do that. So now you need to go to the terminal. To get there, it has a built-in terminal. You can do all your commands locally here. You can see here it says toggle terminal, control backtick, or you can just go inside your folder here on the left side, wherever you are located. It's going to open that for you. Right click and open in terminal, or lots of ways, right? File, open terminal. I think I forgot where it is, but someone there. Or you can press Control J. Control J also opens your terminal. Lots of ways. Okay, so make sure I'm in the same location as I'm here, right? And then you can then type npm init to initialize your project. Hit enter. Then it's going to ask you for some questions. And just accept the default if you don't want to make any changes. So just hit enter, description, whatever you want to put there. Maybe node app demo, for example. Entry point will be index.js. You can leave that as is. And then skip that. You don't have any Git repository in this case, so just skip that. And keywords usually used for if you want to, upload your program to the registry so people can use and download. You put keywords. Otherwise, we don't really care about that. Author, just put your name here. If you forget to do it, you can also do it later. So the license is just accept the default and enter. And just say, yes, it looks good. Hit enter, and you are done. Once you reach here, you'll see that this package file is created. Let me go back and minimize that. If you click on the file, you see that things that we just entered, right? So here you can change it. So, oh, I forgot my name, or I want to change the description or the version, whatever it is, just do it here. Okay, so once you're done, just don't go in here and make any other changes if you don't have to. All right, so that's step 5. And then if you go to step 6, then ask you to open that file we just did and then add these dependencies. Okay, the Express and the Formidable packages. Express is a server-side framework for building applications or service applications in Node environment. Formidable is just another package that will parse any forms from the website. Okay, so you don't really need it, but since they ask for it, you can use that. And they ask you to manually go inside your package file and insert these couple lines in there. Okay, and the reason why I don't want you to do this because now this document is a little bit dated, so these versions are no longer up to date. These are really old versions now. So we want to use the latest version. Okay, so we're going to skip step 6 and also skip step 7, or basically we want to modify step 7. Okay, so we can do all that in one go. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and then down here, I'm going to clear my console. So all you have to do is, and you can leave this open if you want, that's fine. It's going to update this file for you automatically. You can see it. And then let's just go and do it npm install, and then just install the packages or packages you want. You can do one at a time, or you can do all at once. Okay, so we're going to do all at once. I need the Express package and then the Formidable package, and hit enter. Okay, so what it's going to do is going to create a Node modules folder here and download both the Express packages and the Formidable package into your Node module so you can use it. And as you can see, this package.json file has been updated with the dependencies, and the latest version is 4, and the version 1.2.2 for these packages. The caret here, it just means it load the latest stable version. That's what it means. Okay. And so you're done pretty much for steps 6 and 7. Okay. The reason why they ask you to do step 6 is because if you know exactly what version you want, you can put it here. So let's just say if I change that to, I want to use version 3.0 0.0.0, if I know what that is, then I made the changes here. If I go back and do an npm install, I won't run it though. If you do that, the npm install, what it will do is it needs to have this package.json file. It's going to go inside your file here and look for all your dependencies. Okay, it's going to look for that, check every one of them. The express package is going to look inside the node modules folder, find the express package right here. Okay, you see that it's in here, and each of these packages have its own package.json. If you click on that, it tells you it has its own JSON data file, and so on. Also has its version number and all those information in there as well. But it's going to look for that package and see what version it has. It is. If it's different than what it states here, then it's going to update your modules. Okay, so I had version 4 before, but since I changed to 3, then what it will do is it's going to download version 3 and use that instead automatically. Okay, so that's what this does. But we're not going to modify that. We're going to keep this as is. And if there's no changes, if everything matches your correct versions, then nothing gets installed. Right? So so we see the express is here, and if you go up, you see formidable is also here, right? So they are now formidable here. So now they're done. So you can see the node modules, the file has a lot already, and it needs all those to run your application. Okay, so you can close this now. And it also created a package lock.json. So again, don't make any changes in here unless you know exactly what you're doing. This is again just a file to keep track of all your packages. Okay, it has a lot more than your package.json file. As you can see on the right side, the little mini map tells you how many things it has. So just don't touch these two files, and do include them in your package distribution. All right, so now we got that set up, and then you can go ahead and do the next step, right? Follow on along, and I think it asks you to create an index file. So create index.js, and then now because we have the Express installed, we can go ahead and create our application. So the first thing is to create a object. We call it Express. We get that from the library or the package called Express. And then you need another one for the app. This is your application. And you just basically instantiate the Express, and that will create your server for you. You also need the formidable. I don't remember what exactly what it's called, but I think it's just formidable. Okay, so same name as itself. So the formidable is require formidable. Okay, and then now you're going to create a use. Use means what are you going to what files you need to use. Okay, so you can have the app to load some files from a different directory. So in this example, we're going to load some files from this web calculator solution. Inside that, from the web calculator folder, we're going to load these files, mainly the default files. So you're going to load this file to the browser. That's all it's going to do here. Okay, if you don't do that, then you have to manually include that. It's very long code. So to make things short, you can make Express to choose the static location of your file, okay, your content. And these are very helpful later on when you learn about templates and things like that. Okay, so here we're going to load the let's see I'm not sure we get the correct location here. So we load the directory name here. The underscore dir name gives you the current directory, and then we're gonna append that with the location to the web calculator folder. Okay, so all your static data are going to be coming from this location here. So when you load like scripts or CSS or images, it's going to look inside this folder and pull that out. Okay, and of course you can load from different places too. This one here just example using one location, but of course you can pull from different locations. So the dir name. And the reason why you use dir name is because it's automatic, right? If you don't do that, then you have to know where it is. And this journey will give you an absolute path from your C drive all the way to this location here. So it's always safe to do that, and it'll work on any site. So directory name plus the web calculator solution, and then we have the web calculator. I think that's what's called, right? Yeah, web calculator. And it's going to look inside the folder. Okay. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom, and we're going to create a server to run it. Because right now it doesn't know which port. So you want to create a port number. And it's good to put a variable. You can use any port number that's not used. So 8000 or 8080 doesn't matter. Okay, I use 8000 for this one. And then you're going to listen to that port. Okay, app.listen. This function here takes two parameters. One is required, one is not. The port number is required. The second part is a callback function, which is just another anonymous function here. You can use a arrow function. And this is just used to do some kind of messages or other settings. So here all I'm doing is going to put a message to the console to tell us that I use the backtick. Say server ready at, and then we'll put here link the localhost at port number 8000 in this case. Okay, so that's going to be printed in the console when we run this. All right, so if I save this now, and we can go down here to the terminal and run it by issuing the command node, and then the file that we need to run is just called index. And then you see that if there's no errors, you see this message, and it's available at this location. So if I click on it, do a control click, it should load my browser, and there is the server. All right, so you see that it's not loaded anything there because we did not produce any output to the console, to the browser here, so you don't get that. But it is running the local 8000. If you don't have the port number correct, just say if you put like 810, and you see that it's going to spin and say it's not found instead of that message. Okay, so make sure you go to the correct port number, because now it's listening to this port for access, for data. So now, back in the code, we know that's working, so you can go back and then start doing your code. You can put up here, down below, it doesn't matter. And so I'm going to do a app get. The get means like one of the functions, like you get, you put, you post, delete. Those are the CRUD operations or the HTTP verbs. You'll get to do that later to perform REST APIs. So this get is one of the APIs. I'm getting something from a root or a URL pattern. The first thing is a URL pattern. The second is another function that will be called a callback function. So the part here is the router. So I'm going to go to the root directory. It's just the backslash. That's the root directory of your page. And then the second is the function that takes two parameters, a request and a response object. Must be in that order, okay? The first is for incoming. Incoming meaning coming from the web browser. The response is outputting or outgoing, going out to the browser. Okay, so in that order. So these are just variables. You can use whatever you want. It could be A and B here, doesn't matter, in, out, okay? So it's common to use the rec or res or request or response. Okay, so in here then, I'm going to do a very simple response. If you want just to write directly to the browser, you can use a write function. Right, you can put here h1 hello. The thing with the write is that you must also have to end it. If you don't put anything here, that's why you have to end that. Okay, if you don't end it, it's going to hang, and hang, it stalls, and that you don't want that. So if you save that now, and you have to go back to the terminal and terminate your server, Control C to terminate, and then run it one more time. Okay, so again, once that's running, you can go back to the browser and refresh. You see that now it's working. You get the message that you sent out. The source code view will show the exact text that you output to the console, to the browser. All right, and so if you're writing directly to the browser this way, Later on in your assignment, it's going to ask you to load the index or the default files here. So um, you have a different function to do that. It's called the render. You render that output. So what about this request? This for incoming, right? Incoming means like a form. That's what we need is formidable, right? You read that from data, or from the browser URL, things like that. So you do a really simple example here. Let's just say I want to go to the browser and I want to pass in a variable called word is hello world, something like that. Okay. And let's see what happens there. I'm going to pass that message to the browser. When I hit enter, I'm going to fetch the data get the data from the URL and then display it down here. Okay, so that's what that request is for. So here you can do something like this. I can say, give me a variable called word. I'll get that from the request dot query dot in the name of that ID or that token. What do we call it? We call it word, right? So if you call it ID, you call it user or search, whatever it is, that is going to be the exact variable used in that URL. And then whatever the content is, the value is going to be assigned to the word. And then we're going to say hello. And instead of saying hello here, I'm going to change this to something like the following. I'm going to use a backtick. So I can use this is a template syntax. Here, if you're going to put your variables, you put a $sign and then the curly braces. And here, put your variable name. Okay, so it's going to put a message, same message back to the user. Save that. Again, rerun your server and go back to the page. And if I just refresh it now, so you see that the message has been sent to the server, and the server receives that and it sends back out to the user. All right, so that's just something a little bit I want to share with you a little bit about Node.js and the power of using Node now. In the future, you're going to run into this a lot when you use other applications like Angular or React or Vue or many other frameworks. Okay, so once you're done, you're gonna go cancel your server, and you need to submit your files. Okay, so again, when you submit, just include everything here except your Node modules. So to do this, just go back to your Windows folder, or you can just go here and right-click on it, and then right-click on it, review in the File Explorer. It loads the Contoso Web Folder project. Go in there and just, copy all these files, select those except the Node modules, and do a send to compress or zip it, and that's it. So submit that along with your Word document, and you are done. If you have run into any issues or any questions, please let me know.